You paid for being yourself. And some people never forgave you for it, not for doing anything wrong, but for being different in a way that made other people uncomfortable, for not fitting the shape they expected, for having edges where they wanted smoothness, for being certain where they wanted compliance, for refusing, maybe without even fully articulating the refusal, to become the version of yourself that was easier for them to be around. You did not do anything to them. You just failed to disappear on request. And that, for some people, is unforgivable. And so they held it. Some still do. There are people in your world, possibly people who are supposed to be in your corner, who have made you pay for the crime of being exactly who you are, who have framed your difference as a problem, who have taken the thing that is most genuinely you and handed it back to you like evidence against yourself. I want to talk about what that costs and what it does not take away. Before we go into this, put the world down for a moment. This reading is going to go somewhere real, and it needs you present for it. Take a breath. A full one, not a quick one. Be here. Let us go. My name is Jessica, and welcome to Moonlit Arcana. Let me start by naming exactly what happened, because naming it precisely is different from talking around it. You were made to feel like your difference was a flaw. Not by one person in one conversation, but by a pattern. A sustained, consistent experience of being the one who did not quite fit in rooms, in relationships, in families, in friendships where the implicit message was, there is something about you that requires management. That needs to be adjusted. That would be fine if you could just bring it down a level or move it slightly to the left so it stops taking up so much space. And the specific cruelty of that experience is not in what was said. It is in how long it goes on. It is in the way it compounds. The first time someone implies that who you are is a problem, you dismiss it. The 10th time, you start to carry it. The 100th time, you begin to apply it yourself, to look at the parts of you that did not fit and wonder, quietly, whether the room was right about them. That is what they held against you. Not what you did, what you are, and there is a particular kind of damage that comes from having your existence treated as something other people are entitled to have opinions about. Here is what I want to say about the people who did this. They were not neutral observers of a problem. They were people who had, at some point, decided that the safest way to move through the world was to stay inside the shape that was expected of them. They had made that decision maybe consciously, maybe not, and they had paid their own version of the price for it. And when they encountered you doing something they had not allowed themselves to do, being fully, unapologetically, inconveniently yourself, something happened in them that was not simple. Part of it was genuine discomfort. You do not fit, and for people who have organized their lives around fitting, someone who does not is destabilizing. But part of it was something else. Something they would not name. A recognition underneath the criticism that what you were doing was possible. That someone could do it. That the choice they had made to manage themselves down, to be smaller for the comfort of others, was a choice, not an inevitability. And that recognition was threatening in a way that discomfort alone could never explain. The holding it against you was not really about you. It was about them, what they could not allow themselves to be. What they resented in themselves for not being. You became the target of something that had nothing to do with your actual character and everything to do with the specific friction between your freedom and their captivity. That does not make it hurt less, but it clarifies it. It locates it correctly. The problem was never you. Now let me tell you what your difference has actually been building this whole time, underneath all of that noise. There are people in your world who have been watching what you do, not the people who held it against you, the other ones, the ones who are paying a different kind of attention. And what they have been watching is someone who stayed true to themselves under conditions that would have broken most people. That is not a small thing. That is one of the rarest things. Integrity under pressure is easy to claim and almost impossible to maintain. Most people fold. Not because they are weak, but because the pressure is relentless, and the cost of not folding keeps going up, and at some point, the accumulated price of staying yourself becomes hard to justify. And you stayed. Maybe not without cost. Maybe not without difficulty. Maybe with moments where you wondered if the people telling you to be different were right. But you stayed. And the people who have been watching that have built an understanding of you that is the opposite of what the critical ones constructed. They see someone who does not break for convenience. Someone whose word can be trusted, because their actions match their character when the matching is hard, not just when it is easy. Someone who is, in the most fundamental sense, safe to be near. Because you will not become someone different when the pressure of a situation demands it. Because you will not manage the truth into something more comfortable. Because what you are is what you are. And that does not change based on who is in the room. That quality, that specific, costly, rare quality is the thing some people could not forgive and other people cannot stop being drawn to. The same thing. Two completely opposite responses to the same fact of you. Let me tell you about a specific person who has been watching and feeling the second response. There is someone in your world who has been carrying something about you that is connected directly to the part of you that cost you the most. The part that other people held against you, they do not see it as a liability. They see it as the most important thing about you. They have watched you be that thing, the specific quality, the difference, the edge that did not fit elsewhere, and instead of finding it threatening, they found it clarifying. It showed them something about what they were looking for and had not been finding. Something about what genuine actually looks like when you strip away the managing and the adjusting and the performance of acceptable selfhood. You showed them genuine, and they have not been able to stop thinking about what that means for them and what they want. Here's what they have not said yet. Not because they do not mean it, but because the person who has been told repeatedly that their difference is a problem develops, quite reasonably, a wariness about showing the most real parts of themselves too quickly to people who have not proven they can hold them. They have noticed this in you. They have noticed that you are careful, that you take time to trust, that the armor you have built is proportionate to what was used against you, and they are being patient with it, not because they have no urgency, but because they understand it. They have their own version of it. They know what it is to show the real thing and have it used wrong. They are not going to use it wrong. And they are finding slowly the right way to show you that. I want to step outside the reading now and speak to you directly. I want to name something that might be harder to say than the rest of this. What was held against you was not a flaw. It was a threat to people who needed you to be smaller. And the fact that it was treated as a flaw for long enough that you started to internalize some version of it is not your weakness. It is what happens when you are a human being living in proximity to people who needed you to be something you are not. That is survivable. You survived it, but it leaves something behind. A question you might still be asking underneath everything. Whether the part of them was right, whether the difference that cost you so much is a gift or a problem, it is a gift. It has always been a gift. The cost was never evidence that it was wrong. The cost was evidence that being genuinely yourself in a world that rewards performed selfhood is not free. You paid the price. The price was real. And you still have the thing you paid it for. Do not give it away now. Do not let the people who held it against you have the last word on who you are. They did not understand what they were looking at. Someone else does. And that someone is moving toward you. That is what this reading has for you. Take it with you. I will see you in the next one. One more thing, because the closing of this matters and I want it to land properly. The person who has been drawn to the exact thing that was held against you, they are not just observing from a distance. They are building something. Internally, they are constructing a case for why this matters and what they want to do about it. They are arriving at the conclusion that what exists between you is worth the risk of being honest about. That the version of closeness they want with you, real closeness, not managed closeness, not the performance of it, is worth more than the safety of staying at the surface. What they are going to do when they get there is not dramatic. It is direct, a moment where they say something real without checking first whether it is the right thing to say. A moment where they let you see that they have been paying the kind of attention that means something. A moment where the distance between the inside and the outside of what they feel closes enough that you finally know what you have been dealing with. It will not fix what was held against you. Nothing will undo what cost you, but it will be the thing that proves the cost was not the whole story. That being who you are, entirely, costlily, without compromise, led somewhere to someone who wanted exactly that. Stay yourself. The rest is coming. And there is something I want to add here because it belongs at the end of this particular reading. The people who held your difference against you were measuring you against a standard that was never yours to meet. They had a version of what you were supposed to be, and they applied it to you and found you lacking. But that standard was theirs. It was built from their fear, from their own unlived life, from the decisions they made about who they were allowed to be. It was never about you. It was always about them. And here is what that means. Their verdict on you was always going to be wrong. Not just unfair, wrong, inaccurate, based on flawed premises, applied to the wrong person. The thing they held against you is the thing someone else has been holding toward you. Same quality, opposite hands. The right hands are coming, and they already know what they are holding.